what is up? Say what's up in the live as you come in. Hit that like button for me, guys. Hit that like button for me. June 9th, 2025 on a Monday. Welcome to Cozy Corner TV, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Kieran Smith. Call me QN. What's up, y'all? We on the corner. We are on the corner. All right, guys. So, quick news-a-thon today. I'm kind of mad because I haven't done one in a while. Like, every single time on here, I've announced that I was going to do a news-a-thon. I literally ended up reacting. So, I have to have more discipline in this area. So, we got two stories we're going to go over. Two quick stories, and we're actually going to look at them again tomorrow, but I have them up for tonight. So first up on the menu, guys, make sure you're grounded or regulated before you watch this. Why? Because news can be triggering. If you are not grounded or regulated right now, please watch this later. But if you are, welcome to the live stream. All right, guys, so out of our two clips, first up, we got Ben Shapiro. Shout out to Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro reacts to Democrats defending the LA riots. So we'll take a look at that. Then we'll switch gears and go over to Bakari Sellara. Two very different ends of the spectrum. We can say one's fairly liberal and one is fairly conservative. Bakari Sellara will be on the more liberal side. From deportation to prosecution, the heated debate over Kilmar Abrego Garcia's return. So we're going to take a look at these two for the night, guys. First up on the menu, we got Ben Shapiro reacting to the Democrats defending the LA riot. So let's take a listen.
Of war. Are they high on the police supply? What the hell is wrong with the Democratic Party? How did Democrats respond to this? Well, Mayor Karen Bass, who's most recently seen He
does not believe in the Constitution. He does not believe in the rule of law.
Are they high on their own supply? What the hell is wrong with the Democratic Party? How did Democrats respond to this? Well, Mayor Karen Bass, who's most recently seen being in Ghana while the entire city burned down just a few months back, and then trying to avoid the media, she put out a statement, quote, "This morning, we received reports of federal immigration enforcement actions in multiple locations in Los Angeles. As mayor of a proud city of immigrants who contribute to our city in so many ways, I am deeply angered by what has taken place." And by the way, LA is not a city of immigrants. LA is a city of citizens, as all cities in the United States are.
Exactly.
If there are people there illegally, they are committing a crime. City of immigrants. Again, I love the lumping together of all the people who legally immigrated or who are the descendants of immigrants with people who are in LA illegally. These tactics sow terror in our communities and disrupt basic principles of safety in our city. My office is in close coordination with immigrant rights community organizations. We will not stand for this, said Mayor Karen Bass. We will not stand for this. Now, Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, responded. She said, "This is complete BS."
I want to get to this quote from Mayor Karen Bass of California. She says, "We're going to fight for all Angelenos, regardless of when they got here, whether they have papers or not. We are a city of immigrants, and this impacts hundreds of thousands of Angelenos." Also, Governor Gavin Newsom. So, yeah, and the governor. Go ahead.
This is it's bullshit. They don't do it. They don't fight for people. They are not there. They are politicians who are out there jeopardizing the lives of people for politics and an agenda.
So again, Gavin Newsom's perspective and the perspective of Democrats is that it is completely irrelevant if people take over the streets, attack ICE, attack the cops. The big problem is that President Trump has activated the National Guard in order to stop all of that. Gavin Newsom put out a statement 10:36 p.m. So in June 7th, quote, "They want a spectacle. Don't give them one. Never use violence. Speak out peacefully." Well, I mean, again, I don't understand. ICE is there to enforce the law. Speak out peacefully. I mean, they can.
Can you please just hear me out? No, all work management platforms are the same. They take forever to learn, and
Use Twitter for that, X. They can do all sorts of things. You know what they can't do? Take over freeways, chuck rocks from overpasses at cop cars, attack police officers, attack ICE officials, burn cars. But Gavin Newsom was very concerned with the Republicans, of course. Quote, "The Secretary of Defense is now threatening to deploy active duty Marines on American soil against its own citizens. This is deranged behavior." So just to get this straight, it is deranged to suggest that perhaps we have to deploy troops to stop the chaos in LA. But it is not deranged for the governor of California to put all of his focus not on stopping the criminality, but on the people attempting to stop the criminality. A couple hours later, President Trump put out a statement, quote, "Great job by the National Guard in LA. After 2 days of violence, clashes, and unrest, These radical left protests by instigators and often paid troublemakers will not be tolerated. Also, from now on, masks will not be allowed to be worn at protests. What do these people have to hide and why? Again, thank you to the National Guard for a job well done. And so, again, that was as of Friday night. But it continued over Saturday, it continued over Sunday. Of course, Tom Homan, the border czar, he suggested that if the mayor and the governor actually obstruct the workings of law enforcement, well, we'll arrest them as well. Are they at risk of being arrested?
I'll say about anybody. You cross that line. It's a felony to knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien. It's a felony to impede law enforcement from doing their job.
Do you think that the mayor of LA is doing that?
If she crossed that line, we'll ask DOJ to prosecute. Do I think she's crossed the line? I don't think she's crossed the line yet. But I'm telling you, the one that we're sending is we're not going to tolerate people attacking our officers.
Again, the Democratic response here is so insane. Just put aside the moral. Obviously, it's insane on a moral level. On a political level, are they high on their own supply? What the hell is wrong with the Democratic Party? They look at ICE enforcing the law, and instead of them saying, listen, this is over-enforcement, we think the priority needs to be criminal illegal immigrants, people who have committed crimes other than their illegal immigration. This is misuse of resources. This is all ginned up in order to get headlines for failing president. Like, that's what a normal Democratic Party would do on this issue.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, what they have decided to do is claim that the rioters are not the problem. The real problem is that the enforcement of law happened in the first place. The city of Glendale. I used to work in Glendale. I had a radio studio over in Glendale. And the city of Glendale put out a statement, quote, after careful consideration, the city of Glendale has decided to end its agreement with U.S. Homeland Security, ICE, to house federal immigration detainees. This local decision reflects our core values: public safety, transparency, and community trust. The Glendale Police Department does not enforce immigration laws and remains fully compliant with SB 54. Our focus remains on serving Glendale residents and businesses while preserving it as one of the safest cities in the nation. Unbelievable. So Glendale's response to rioters in the streets is, what more can we do for illegal immigrants? Meanwhile, Kamala Harris, you wonder why she lost? She's still around, wandering in the streets like Miss Havisham in Great Expectations, kind of wandering around, a ghost in the machine. She put out a statement, quote, Los Angeles is my home. And like so many Americans, I'm appalled at what we are witnessing on the streets of our city. Deploying the National Guard is a dangerous escalation meant to provoke chaos. In addition to the recent ICE raids in Southern California and across our nation, it is part of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. The administration's actions are not about public safety. They're about stoking fear. Fear of a community demanding dignity and due process. Oh, wait, hold up. Are illegal immigrants demanding dignity?
This is interesting because Kamala Harris chose to say it that way instead of saying that I'm completely appalled at the fact that we have to take it this far to keep, America safe. Like, there's so many ways Ben Shapiro was right here on how she could have delivered the message, or other Democrats, and it's like, it's crazy. It's we're watching craziness, literally. But instead, she puts out a post and she says that the Secretary of Defense deploying National Guard troops is meant to strike fear and cause chaos. No, that's not why we deploy the National Guard, Kamala Harris. That's actually not why.
Dignity and due process? Or have they just been living in the United States without due process for literally years at a time? By the millions. And I used to live in Los Angeles. The idea that you couldn't find, this was always the joke, okay? Growing up in LA, the joke was that people at the federal level would be like, we don't even know where to find the illegal immigrants. They're so hard to find it. Everyone in LA would be like, I can do it. You can do it. Everybody can do it. Just because ICE is now doing it doesn't mean ICE is doing something wrong. Kamala Harris said protest is a powerful tool, especially in the fight for justice. As the LAPD mayor and governor have noted, demonstrations in defense of our immigrant neighbors have been overwhelmingly peaceful. Fiery, but mostly peaceful. They are so high on their own supply that I don't understand. You lost. You're going to continue to lose. I continue to support the millions of Americans who are standing up to protect our most fundamental rights and freedoms. So again, at no point does she say that throwing rocks at cop cars is a violation of fundamental freedoms. Instead, she says that the fundamental freedom and right is to apparently be an illegal immigrant. She's appalled at what she's witnessing on the streets of the city. Not the riots, the National Guard. She is appalled by the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division, not at the millions of illegal immigrants that she and her boss let into the country. Totally insane. And this is the unified position of the Democratic Party. This is the unified position. We'll get to more on this in a second. First, picture this. You walk over to your computer, you pull up your entire browsing history, you hit print, and then you nail those pages to your front door so every single person can see it. Sounds pretty crazy, right? Well, that's essentially what happens every single day unless you protect yourself with ExpressVPN. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your internet provider can see every single website you've ever visited, even when you're browsing CNN, and she was talking about how peaceful Nanette Berrigan. She was on CNN, and she was talking about how peaceful the protests are. Well, next to her was a burning car.
We agree that if you're being violent, you should be arrested. You should be prosecuted. There is no disagreement on that. I think that's an effort that we can all say. But this is not what's happening. We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is saying the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
So much peace, so many peace. Wow, so the peace is everywhere. Can you feel the peace? The peace is literally everywhere. Absolutely incredible. Meanwhile, Cory Booker, he of the Mr. Potato Head angry eyes, he was out there doing angry eyes on Meet the Press and saying that, enforcing ICE action or calling the National Guard to quell riots, that's only going to make things worse.
Look, since years before I was born, law enforcement knows it's good when there's cooperation and coordination. For the president to do this when it wasn't requested, breaking with generations of tradition, is only going to incite the situation and make things worse.
It's Trump being incited. The enforcement of law. I love the catch-22 Democrats have set up. If you don't enforce the law, that's good. If you do enforce the law, you are inciting the violation of law. So anywhere you go,
that's crazy.
The law being broken is the fault of the people enforcing the law. Unbelievable. Adam Schiff, the most ridiculous senator in America. And I say ridiculous because the notion this guy should be a senator after bloviating his way through the Russiagate scandal is insane. But California is an insane state, which is why I picked up my company and my entire family and left. Adam Schiff put out a statement, quote, "The Trump administration's calling on the California National Guard without the authorization of the government is unprecedented. This action is designed to inflame tensions, sow chaos, and escalate the situation. If the Guard is needed to restore peace, the governor will ask for it. But continuing down this path will erode trust in the National Guard and set a dangerous precedent for unilateral misuse of the Guard across the country." Oh, that's the issue, is that President Trump is activating the National Guard without a request from the governor, and that's what's sowing chaos. Oh, I see. So it's not the riots sowing the chaos, or the fact that California has refused to help federal law enforcement enforce the law for generations. The problem is the National Guard. That's what violence must stop, says Adam Schiff. We need to keep the focus on protecting fundamental rights. Again, please name the fundamental rights that are being violated. Truly, what are the fundamental rights? The picking up the people who are illegal immigrants for due process and deportation? That's the fundamental right. What is the fundamental right that has been violated? They cannot name it. Because in their belief, again, scavenger mentality, the fundamental right is to destroy the system. And if you impede that, then you have impeded a fundamental right. Adam Schiff says, there is nothing President Trump would like more than a violent confrontation with protesters to justify the unjustifiable, invocation of the Insurrection Act, or some form of martial law. So he believes that President Trump is desperate to invoke martial law. That's what he's looking for right now.
That's nice.
And Bernie Sanders doing the same thing. So
Thanks to Restore, prime time is back.
I didn't want to be bold.
Socialist.
I see why Ben Shapiro's asking, are they high on their own supply? Because this is outrageous. Especially Adam Schiff saying that. That's crazy.
Claude senator from Vermont, lifelong useless person, complete commie moron who's been a blight on the body politic since the day he entered it. A leech on the ass of society, Bernie Sanders. I have more in the bag of insults, where those came from. Here's Bernie Sanders talking about how Trump wants all the power. This is just a power grab. A power grab to do what? To accomplish what? Did he overthrow the government of California and install a dictator? Or did he just deploy the National Guard to quell violent riots? Here's Bernie Sanders.
We have a president who is moving this country rapidly into authoritarianism. He is suing media who criticizes him. He is going after law firms who have clients who were against him. He's going after universities that teach courses that he doesn't like. He's threatening to impeach judges who rule against him, and he's usurping the powers of the United States Congress. This guy wants all of the power. He does not believe in the Constitution. He does not believe in the rule of law. My understanding is that the governor of California, the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, did not request the National Guard, but he thinks he has a right to do anything he wants.
He thinks he has a right to, okay, so first of all, everything he's doing is legal. Second of all, if Donald Trump became a dictator, that would be the first dictator Bernie Sanders didn't love. Truly. Bernie Sanders has a love affair with every dictator. And then he calls President Trump a dictator. In the fiery but mostly peaceful quote of the entire conflagration so far, this is an amazing clip. Okay, so apparently over on local news, there was, believe it or not, a reporter who was watching the footage of all of this go down. And this reporter suggested this is not violent. All of these burning cars, this is not violent. Burning cars is just fun, you see. It's mostly just people having fun. I don't know about you. I don't have fun by setting cars on fire.
No.
It's never occurred to me to have fun by setting random strangers' cars on fire. Yeah. But according to this reporter at ABC7, this is not violence. This is not violence. When somebody's car gets burned, that is just some good, solid, old home fun. No. Here we go.
It's called destruction.
Large group of people, it could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
It's all just people having fun watching cars burn. You know, like you used to do when you were a kid. Just like that.
No.
People are so crazy. They're so crazy. But this is the entire left-wing media now. The entire left-wing media has been driven so insane by President Trump that anyone even remotely associated with the enforcement of basic black-letter immigration law is now the problem, and people who burn cars are the heroes. And this is nothing new. The revolutionary violence in which the scavenger left now consistently engages, and for which they consistently make excuses, is truly mortifying and shocking. And some people in the United States were making fun of France for watching people allow massive burning of cars and riots in the streets. And they're saying, you import an entire population to do this? Why are you insane? Well, it appears that we have a domestic population in the United States, some of whom are very happy to watch the cars burn, and others who are very happy to burn the cars. Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts.
Pretty insane. A group that likes to burn the cars and a group that likes to watch the cars burn. Absolutely insane. Yeah, and we don't see any Democratic senator, congressman, representative, no one saying, hey, it's not a good idea for us to be out there burning cars. We actually look bad. This is our president as well, so we should come up with a new plan. Yeah, nobody's saying that either. So I'm with Ben Shapiro on that. There's a lot of things that aren't being said that I think it's ridiculous that they aren't even being brought up. All right, guys, so switching gears from deportation to prosecution, the heated debate over Kilmar Abrego Garcia's return, CNN debate. Let's take a listen.
Tonight, first they said deporting him was a mistake. Then they said he was never coming back. But now,
Abrego Garcia has landed in the United States to face justice.
good evening. I'm Abby Phillip for a special edition of Newsnight. This summer, we are taking the show on some field trips. We're spending our Fridays right here at the Food Network's kitchen in New York, our sister company. We have a fabulous chef serving friends of the show, and she has a special treat for us. Don't you worry about that at the end of the night. But in the meantime, let's get right to what America is talking about. The return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. After saying that they mistakenly deported him to El Salvador, a prison there, and after saying that they had no way to get him back, the Justice Department has announced that he is back on American soil. But now he faces charges related to unlawfully transporting migrants for financial gain. And the news was even a surprise to his attorneys.
We learned about it on TV just like the rest of the country.
Wow.
So why the sudden reversal from the Trump administration? Remember this post from the White House back in April? Their social media team edited the front page of the New York Times and changed the headline to say that Abrego Garcia was, quote, never coming back. And even after the Supreme Court said that the White House needed to facilitate his return, Trump and the DOJ said that their hands were tied. But something over the last 2 months apparently changed.
That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane. Our government presented El Salvador with an arrest warrant, and they agreed to return him to our country. We're grateful to President Bukele for agreeing to return him to our country to face these very serious charges.
Even El Salvador's president said Abrego Garcia's return was never going to happen.
The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But now President Bukele makes it sound like Abrego Garcia's release was a simple ask. He wrote this on X. We work with the Trump administration, and if they request the return of a gang member to face charges, of course we wouldn't refuse. Joining us at the table is attorney Dante Mills. He is a law professor at Temple University's Beasley School of Law. And this was always a big question in this case, which is the accusation that he was a really bad guy, an MS-13 gang member had been made by the Trump administration, but they never wanted to charge him, it seemed, with those alleged crimes. Now they have, because apparently they've done an investigation, but they could have done this 2.5 months ago.
Well, they could have. And this, to me, it's just political gamesmanship, but you don't want to mix that with our justice system. This is somebody who the administration deemed to be a bad person. So what they're doing is saying, let's go back and dig until we find something that justifies that. So now they're going to bring him back to the country where before they said they couldn't, right? There was no way that they could get him back here or help facilitate it. Now they put this indictment in front of a grand jury. He was indicted not for transporting or bringing people in and out of the country, but for moving people around inside the country. Now what they're saying is we're going to bring him back and prosecute him. That will trump any issues with immigration. So if he's found guilty of this crime, he can be deported, and whatever protections he had in place will go away. So he can, in fact, be deported back to his home country.
Right. Again, they could have done this.
A lot of people have had the same conclusion throughout this process. Republicans have made this a political football. And what Democrats have said is that this is about due process. And yes, before we go down this really unique, dark path of are illegal immigrants entitled to due process, the answer is yes. The 5th and 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution says that everybody in the United States of America, regardless of your citizenship or status, has due process. So that is a fundamental right that even illegal immigrants have. So my point to everyone under the sound of my voice for so long was bring him back, go through due process, and if you are convicted of a crime, if you committed a crime, if you are illegal here and have committed a crime, deport them. There is no one who is against that. Please deport him, but he deserves due process like everybody else. And the reason being is because if you don't give Abrego Garcia due process, then the next person they won't give due process is you. And that is a fact. That always happens. It's happened through the history of this country. That is a fact. And if we want to rewrite the Constitution, I see my friend Scott, I don't know if he's shaking his head or he's shaking his head because of this guy that's behind him that's over there eating. I like being able to see him, but this guy in the back eating his sandwich, he just got up, but you can see him in every shot. I don't know if you're shaking your head at me or him, but the fact is he deserves due process.
You know, I suspect that Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, when he heard that Saint Abrego Garcia was coming back, took a shower, put on his nice suit, got on Open Table, found out what maybe party of 2 reservation they could get for tonight so they could continue the bromance they started when he went back to visit Saint Abrego in El Salvador. Look, he was not deported because he was a bad guy. He was deported because he was an illegal immigrant living in the country illegally for 14 years, who had gone through due process, who had an existing deportation order. It so happens that it turns out he may in fact well be a really, really bad person that we would not want in the country. Here are his possible outcomes. Number 1, he gets convicted of this stuff and goes to prison for a long time. Number 2, he gets acquitted and goes back to El Salvador, which is what I suspect the White House would do with him if he somehow gets out of these charges. Either way, it's what the White House said all along. There's no future where this man, the Maryland man, goes back to Maryland to live quietly in the suburbs.
That's not the point.
though, Scott, and I'll let you chime in. I mean, you're a better lawyer than I took the bar a couple times. You were probably only had to take it once. So I
took it once.
Yeah, I had to take it a couple times. So we haven't. So we'll deal with that. But my point is, Scott, like due process. I mean, the fifth and
He
fourth.
had some. He got some.
You don't get some, Scott.
He got
That's the
plenty.
thing. Like
He got more than he deserved.
You don't get a chance to give me some due process.
Everybody
I
has
get all or
due
nothing.
process that they're owed. I think we all should agree with that. But there's a second component here where we're talking about selective prosecution.
Yeah.
Now they're bringing him back and charging him with this crime for facts that they've known since 2022. There's no new evidence.
Who knew them in 2022?
It's on video.
Who knew them?
The stop was on video.
What administration? What administration
it wasn't anything
The
illegal.
Biden administration, and they chose to let him go.
But
We
hold
have
on,
a new
hold on for a
administration.
second.
No, this is selective
because
prosecution.
even
That's not fair.
what you're saying that this happened in 2022 is true, but I do think that the idea that the Trump administration chose only very recently, it seems, to go down this road of actually investigating alleged crimes, that is also something that seems to be pretty clear. And there are some questions about that. I mean, if this guy were on their radar for deportation, for being an MS-13 member, why didn't they?
No offense, but if you're paying more than $30 a month on car insurance, you're getting ripped off. Everybody knows you can
Investigate this, charge him, and deport him for those crimes. I want to make sure you get in. I just want to know, one of the interesting things about this that we found out today, a 15-year veteran of the U.S. Attorney's Office and the chief of the criminal division in Nashville, a guy named Ben Schrader, he resigned from his position the same week that this went to a grand jury. And according to our reporting, there are concerns that there are cases like this, perhaps this case, that is being politicized. Now, we don't know what that could entail, but clearly the question is being
And we want to
raised
get to it, but he also said very cryptically, he when he resigned, he said, the years that I've been here, I've done things the right way, thing.
He says, the only job description I've ever known is to do the right thing in the right way for the right reasons. That's what he wrote on LinkedIn.
I mean, there's a reason I'm not yelling to jump in, and that's because what no one is saying is we don't know who he is or what he's done. You don't know that he's a bad guy, and you don't know that he's a good guy. I'm not saying either of you have said that. I'm just saying this man has become a poster child for the left and the right, while no one knows who he is or what he did. That's the problem, because this case was handled so badly. And the incompetence, putting aside the emotional aspect on both sides of this, the incompetence in the way that this was handled, we'll shoot first, ask questions later. We're going to deport him first and then find the crime. We're going to say we can't bring him back and then we're going to bring him back. We don't know what he did. Now, he got indicted by a grand jury. A grand jury, as we all know, can indict a ham sandwich. But this is our process, and I'm willing to trust the process. If they find through this process that he broke the law, in addition to breaking the law by coming in here illegally, I grant you that, Scott, he should be punished for that. But everyone has decided who this man is before anyone knows what he did.
Can I just play one thing? This is Texas Representative Vicente Gonzalez, who actually raised some questions for Democrats about how they've handled this case. Listen.
And I've said from the very beginning, when I read cases and complaints against him, I knew that he wasn't no little angel, and I thought we had a potential criminal on our hands. And if this turns out to be a legitimate indictment, which I assume it would be, he's going to have to face charges here in the United States. So certainly, I don't think we should be advocating for Abrego Garcia as if he's some Johnny Appleseed, as I said, because he's not. But we should be advocating for rule of law in America, and that we respect federal judicial court orders.
That's my point. And it's Essie, just to push back on Essie. I'm not saying that he's a great guy. I mean, I know you said that wasn't attributed to us.
Right.
No one is saying that.
Well, no one.
I am.
Because
I will
plenty of
literally say
Democrats-
that.
plenty of
How about this?
Democrats
How about this?
He's a
How about
family
this?
man.
How about this?
He's a dedicated
What I am saying is family man, illegal, undocumented, whatever.
Criminal.
What I am saying is that he deserves due process.
Of course.
And that is my only point. That's my point from the beginning.
That's
And
your
so-
only
but-
point.
and
It's
that's
not
fine.
the
I mean,
narrative
I get
Democrats
an
or
opportunity.
Republicans have
That's
been.
fine, and I get an opportunity in front of a million people watching at me right now.
And also, you can just make me some kind of poster child and turn the Justice Department against me. That's what's happening here.
Guys, you all,
this guy wouldn't have been,
you all
he was
are
in a car on
completely,
video.
you all are completely downplaying what we know. We know plenty about this person.
What?
We know that he lived in the country illegally for 14 years. I know it's okay with you.
That's
That's not. We know.
Time out. No. That's not. That is not okay.
We know what the court said about
But
it.
that's not it. But that is literally.
First of all, we all know that
That's
you both
a
interrupt each other all the time.
That is not a crime.
To live in the country illegally?
That's not a crime. That's a status offense. Stop telling people stuff that's not true.
I am just, my mind is so blown here.
Go ahead and
That
finish.
is a crime.
It's not a criminal offense.
Bakari, just can we give
It's a civil violation.
Bakari, can we give Scott
So
a
he's in the country illegally 14 years. That's number one. We also know what his wife told the courts and law enforcement about him. That he was violent, that he beat her.
He's not being charged with
That he
That's
was,
hearsay.
so you said, we don't know if he's a bad guy.
We don't.
I trust his wife when she runs off and says, please protect me from
What
this
if his
man.
wife said this man's great?
And
You wouldn't
so,
trust him.
That's
That's
you're
insane.
acting like we don't know things. We
Prosecute
do know
him.
things. We
Prosecute
know.
him.
And so,
Prosecute him.
at a minimum, what we know should be more than enough for anybody at this table to say, yes, please
Scott,
get him the hell out.
Let me ask you this. Do you let me ask you this. Do you think they charged him to try to save face? Yes or no? Honestly,
I think
do
they
you
charged him
believe
because
they
he
charged
committed
him
crimes.
to try to save face? Yes or no?
I think they charged him because he committed serious crimes, apparently.
Scott,
That's why they charged
can
him.
we agree on this? He should be prosecuted for domestic violence. He should be prosecuted for every crime he committed. And when he's found guilty, he should be deported.
I think he should be deported anyway, regardless of this other stuff.
That-
To me, the only issue that
So
ever
does
really
it
mattered
matter?
was that he was in the country illegally.
Does the Constitution work or not?
Yeah, and he had a deportation.
But now we're
order.
bringing it into where the
Okay.
Justice Department is being
He had a
used for political
deportation order.
reasons, and that shouldn't happen.
That is true. They're ignoring that because he did have a deportation order.
Look, I mean, you're right. He had, he was in proceedings, and the proceedings were determining where he could go. They sent him to the wrong place. Honestly, the judge just said bring him back so that he can finish that process and be sent to the right place. And the Trump administration could have done this 2.5 months ago. They didn't, and it is perplexing.
Okay,
Now
Biden
we have
could have did
charges.
it
We'll
too.
see what happens to with the charges. In this country, whether you're legal or illegal, you're innocent until proven guilty. We'll let this play out. We'll continue to follow it. Dante Mills, thank you very much with your first pass at the bar exam. That's why you're at this table. Thank you very much. Coming up next, the bad breakup is getting worse with the president's agenda on the line. And now a source tells CNN that Trump is asking his aides if Musk's behavior could be related to his alleged drug use. Back in a moment from the Food Network Kitchen.
Oh man, so we got CNN covering that. So we're gonna go a little bit deeper in these two stories tomorrow, guys. I can't wait because I was excited to play them, but I'm gonna go ahead and end the live stream because we jumped on here late, guys. So with that being said, we'll have the Christian clip tomorrow. So you guys take care of yourselves, take care of one another, love yourselves, love one another, and be peaceful.